Hello, today I'll read you another story from this wonderful The Peter Rabbit Library collection. It is written by Beatrix Potter and illustrated by her. Previously we read The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin, The Tale of Glow's Sister, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny, The Tale of Two Bad Mice, The Tale of Miss Tingly Wink, and today we'll read The Tale of Miss Tingly Wink. If you want to read the other stories, you may watch them on my YouTube channel. The Tale of Miss Tingly Winkle by Beatrix Potter, based on the authorized edition. The Tale of Miss Tingly Winkle by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Lucy who lived at a farm called Little Town. She was a good girl, only she was always losing her pocket handkerchiefs. One day, little Lucy came into the farm yard crying. Oh, she did cry so. I've lost my pocket handkerchief, Hannikin. 3 hankins and a penny. Have you seen them, Tabby Kitten? The kitten went on the washing of her white paws. So Lucy asked the speckled hen, Sally Henny Penny, have you found 3 pocket hankins? But the speckled hen ran into the bran, chucking. I go barefoot. And then Lucy asked Cock Robin, sitting on a twig. Cock Robin looked sideways at Lucy with his black eyes, and he flew over as still and away. Lucy climbed upon the still and looked up the hill behind Little Town and hill that goes up into the clouds as through it had no top. And a great way up the hills in sight thought she saw some white thing spread upon the grass. Lucy scrambled up the hill as fast as her short legs would carry her. She ran along the step path, away, up and up, until Little Town was right away down below. She could have dropped a pebble down the chimney. Presently she came to a spring bubbling out from the hillside. Someone had stood upon the stone to catch the water, but the water was already running over, for a can was not bigger than an egg cup, and were sand upon the path. And when there were footmarks of a very small person, Lucy ran on the path and ended under a big rock. The grass was short and green, and there were clothes, props, and cut from bark and stems, with limes of plants and rushes, and a heap of tiny clothes, pins, but no pocket handkerchiefs. But there was something else at the door straight into the hill, and inside it someone was singing, Lily white clean, oh, with little frills between, oh, smooth and hot, red rusty spot, never here to be seen. Lucy knocked once, twice, and interrupted the song. A little friendly voice called out, "Who's that?" Lucy opened the door, and what do you think was inside the hill? A nice clean kitchen with flags, floor, and wooden beams. Just any other farm kitchen. Only the ceiling was so low that Lucy's head nearly touched it, and the pots and pans were small. So was everything there. There was a nice, hot, stinky smell, and a table with an iron in her hand, and stood a very stout, short person, staring anxiously at Lucy. Her print gown was stuck up, and she was wearing a large apron with her striped petticoat. Her little black nose went sniffle, sniffle, and snuffle, and her eyes were twinkle and twinkle. And underneath the cap, where Lucy had a yellow curls, and the clapped person had prickles. "Who are you?" said Lucy. "Have you seen my pocket handkins?" The little person made a bob curtsy. "Oh, yes, if you please. My name is Miss Winkle. Oh, yes, if you please. Please, excellent clean searcher." And she took something out of her clothes blanket and spread it on the ironing blanket. What's that thing?" said Lucy. "That's not my pocket handkin." "Oh, no, if you please, ma'am. That's a little scarlet waistcoat that belongs to Coke Robin." And she ironed it and folded it and put one aside. Then she took something else of the clothes horse. "That isn't my penny," said Lucy. "Oh, no, if you please, ma'am. That's a Danksman tablecloth belonging to Miss Lenny Warnock." And how sternly with her curtain, Winkle. "And it is very bad, to wash," said Miss Winkle. Miss Winkle nose were with a snuffle, and her eyes were twinkle and twinkle, and fetch another iron from the fire. There's one of my pocket handkins," cried Lucy, "and there's my penny." Miss Winkle ironed and goffered it, and showed out frills. "Oh, that is lovely," said Lucy. And what are those long yellow things with fingers? Little gloves, with fingers like gloves. "Oh, that's a pair of stockings belonging to Sally Hennypenny. Looks how she's worn, and her heels were scratching in the yard. She'll very soon go barefoot," said Miss Winkle. But there's another handkerchief, but it isn't mine, it's red." "Oh, no, if you please, ma'am. That one belongs to old Miss Rabbit, and it did so smell of onions. I've had to wash it separately. I can't get out the smell." "There's another one of mine," said Lucy. What are those funny little white things?" "That's a pair of mittens belonging to Tabby Kitten. I only have to iron them. She washes them herself. There's my last pocket handkerchief, said Lucy. And what are you dipping into the basin of starch? There's this shirt, a friend belonging to Tom Tin Mouse. Most terrible particular, said Miss Winkle. Now I've finished my ironing, I'm going to air some clothes. What are these dear soft fluffy things? Said Lucy. Oh, those are woolly coats belonging to little lambs at Rounsley. Will their jackets take off? Asked Lucy. Oh, yes, if you please, ma. Look at the sheep. Oh, yes, if you please, me. Look at the sheep mark on the shoulder. And there's one marked mark on the shoulder, and there's one marked for the grandstand, and 3 of them for Little Town. There's always marked at washing, said Miss Winkle. And it hung up all the store inside of the clothes and brown coats and mice, and velvet blank mulsey, and white coats, and red tail coats, with no tail belonged to Squirrel Nutkin, and they are very much wrong. Blue jackets belonged to Peter Rabbit, and the petticoat not marked that had gone lost in the washing, and the basket was empty. Then Miss Winkle made a cup for herself and a cup for Lucy. They sat before the fire and the benching and looked sideways at one of the other. Miss Winkle had holding up, and the teacup was very brown and very wrinkly with the soap sandals, and all through the gown and her cap were bare, and her pins were sticking and wrung out, and Lucy didn't like to sit too near her. When they had finished the tea, they tried out the clothes in the bundles, and Lucy's pocket handkerchief were followed up inside the clean penny and fastened with silver safety pin. And then they'd made up a fire with turns and came out of the locked doors and hid the key under the door still. Then away down the hill trotted Lucy and Miss Winkle with bundles of clothes. All the way down the path, little animals came out of the fern to meet them. The very first that they'd met were Peter Rabbit and Benjamin Bunny. And she gave them their nice clean clothes, and the little animals and the birds were so very much obliged to dinner with Miss Winkle, so that at the bottom of the hill that they came to the sail, there was naught left to carry except Lucy, one low bundle. Lucy scrambled up the sail with a bundle and hang and turned to say good night and thanks to the washerwomen. But the very odd thing, Miss Winkle had not waited either for thanks for the washing bill. She was running up the hill, where her white freckled cap, and her shawl, and her gown, and her petticoat. And the bow had smouldered and grown and brown and covered the freckles, while Miss Winkle was nothing but a hedgehog. Now some people say that little Lucy had been asleep upon the steel. But then could she have found 3 clean pocket handkerchiefs and a penny pinned with a silver safety pin? And besides, I have seen the door in the back of the hill called Kettlebells. And besides, I am very well acquainted with my dear Miss Winkle. And tomorrow we'll read another book. Bye! Hope you enjoyed how I was reading.